What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Jonas, and with me is Mr. Raman Singh. Raman, how are you?
You know what? The baby's crying, but I got no complaints. The wife is taking care of the baby. I get to have all the fun stuff with the baby where he lays on my chest, so I'll probably do that afterwards. Life's good, man.
You step in, be fun, hold him, throw him up a little bit,
Yeah,
hand him right
exactly.
back.
I do all the fun dad stuff, man, you know?
Enjoy it while you can, buddy. Enjoy it while you
I
can.
know, right?
Let's talk a little bit about failing the CFP exam.
Yeah.
This one hurts.
I was gonna, it's a sore subject, man.
Yeah.
Some people are like really not feeling too good about it.
So let's just pretend this is the case. I'm a student. I come to you and I tell you, no, like I put in the time, the effort, and I just feel, I just feel like I can't go through this again. Like I was so close. Maybe I was five green and three red. My five greens were kind of just at or over the lines. My reds were a little deep in the red. So I was probably really close to passing. I don't know if I can put myself through that hell again. What do you typically tell people in this scenario? Like, how do you deal with this? Obviously, as being the person that people are coming to for not obviously just the academic advice, but there's always a part of our job that is giving some counsel to the emotional part of this.
Sure. Yeah, great question, Joe. And you know what? I'd like to also share my personal experience taking the CFP exam as well, because I did fail it the first time. I'll say that. This is in 2015. Wow. March 2015 is when I took the test the first time.
Oh, your tenure.
Yeah, exactly. And then I retook the test in November 2015.
So you waited 6 months.
I waited because I wanted to change a job. I wanted to move out in Florida, so I
Oh,
left
you were in
Texas.
Florida at the time?
Yeah, so I was in Houston. So in March, I was an internal wholesaler with an annuity company, and I'm internal wholesaling. For those who are taking the test and internal wholesalers, I know it's a grind. I understand it really well. Um, and after work, I would be grinding. I would be studying, kind of like the norm that we hear, right? Um, I actually had gotten my dog at that point. She was 8 weeks old, 9 weeks old, and I couldn't take care of her. So I actually boarded her for 2 months so I could study for the CFP exam. Imagine that.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
so I did everything I could have in my power to study for the test, and I failed it. And I still remember, like I took the design prep course at that time. There weren't many at that time, and I went to North Carolina for Zan's 5-day boot camp. It was great, but I'll tell you this: you know why I failed this test? My own mistakes. I knew that I didn't prepare enough for the prep work that was given to me during the boot camp. I wasn't as serious as I should have been.
Hmm.
I had it in my head like I'm 4 years in the business. I passed the 7, the 66. I got this. The day I got out of the car to go take the test in Houston, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna fail this test. So, already I'm in a negative headspace, right?
Oh man, that fucking impending doom of, oh my God, I'm walking. I'm like dead man walking.
Literally, right? That's why I tell my students, like, don't put these negative thoughts in your head. So I failed the test and I came back, and all my other internal wholesaler buddies like, oh man, like sorry to hear that. You'll take it again. But thing is, it's all in your headspace if you fail the test. If you're gonna come out feeling defeated, the next 3 months, 6 months, or whatever is gonna suck. When
Hmm.
I came out of that test defeated, you know what I said? I was like, okay, I know what I'm expecting now. So
Hmm.
I tell my students, listen, you failed. I know it sucks. I understand it. I have been through that position myself. But think about it this way. You know what's on the test. Now, not the same exact questions, but you know what this exam day is going to be like. You have listened to the same song before, the same rhythm before. You know the moment you walk into Prometric, how cold is it going to be in that room, how they're going to intimidate you, the computer desk you have to sit in front of.
Hmm.
You're already like, acclimated to this. So you already have a better position now because you know what the expectations are. You know it's a 6.5 hour long test. So now let's get into the positive headspace and learn from our mistakes. What we did, don't do it again.
So what were your mistakes?
My mistakes were I sped through the prep work. I started attacking practice questions. You know,
Too early?
um, I mean, this was a decade ago. I'd say I felt like I had to play catch up with the material because I didn't take it serious enough. You know, and when I say didn't take it serious enough, it's not like I didn't study. I was studying daily after work for 2, 3 hours, 4 hours. So I put in the grind. Sometimes I'd be at the office till 11 o'clock at night. You know, don't get me wrong, I put in the hours. It's just when I looked at the prep work, I did not really care about it as much, and I thought I'll just answer the practice questions and just kind of like like the norm that we hear. Like I answered the practice questions. I was going through the exam material. I finished all the Zahn, the 60 question final exams and the module work, everything that Zahn gave me. You know everything. But thing is, I did not spend enough time studying the material.
I understand that because I think anybody going through prep material going into a prep course, you always feel like you have more time, so you don't have to do it now, and you miss so much detail that I think I don't know. I went in completely underprepared for the prep course as well, and I remember leaving and going, "Oh my God, what the hell have I gotten myself into?" I had no idea how detailed things were going to be. And then I went back and I attacked it. And thank God I did my prep course so far in advance because I did in New Jersey because I didn't want to travel for one like what you did. Houston, you went to North Carolina. I was like, I'm in New Jersey. I'm going to do the early one. So I was like, okay, let me just do that one. Went to my prep course. I had really given the prep material not even that. I don't even think I looked at it for 2 weeks. I think I maybe cracked it open the week before. And luckily, there was enough time between the prep course and the exam that I tuned it all up and was fortunate enough really to pass the exam because I really could have gotten myself in a very tight spot. Because every time I did it and I would get something wrong, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll fix it later.
Yeah.
Right.
Just speed through the rationale. Like, all right, I'll
Right.
look at it
Oh
later.
yeah, you're like split dollar arrangement. Cool. That sounds like something I should probably look up. I'll see it again, right? And I kind of went in with that mindset that I was so dependent on the questions that I thought I would be able to get away with it doing questions, and I barely read the material. And then I got there, and I was like, people raising their hands and asking questions, and I was like, I don't even know what you're asking. And I felt really, really embarrassed. I was really embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I got to get my fucking ass in gear because I don't know if you felt this way, but did you do your education in person?
Yeah, I went to Rice. They had a program in Texas, so it was like twice a week for 3 hours for an entire year, basically, with the son
So
of
I did it. It was 18 months. It was once a week on Thursday nights from 6 to 9 at FDU University in New Jersey, Madison, New Jersey.
love.
And it, we did general principles at the time I was doing the review almost 2 years prior. I
Wow.
didn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't look at the material. Our estate planning professor was an estate planning attorney who would come in, he would sit on the desk, he would just talk about his practice and how great he was. I honestly don't remember. I just remember oh man, I'm going to listen to this guy lecture again. Like our tax professor was, and this is a point where CFP doesn't really have the pull that it does now. So all the people they were getting were career people that were trying to make a little extra money after work.
Right.
And so the level of instruction was pretty poor. But, and I remember our investments class being excellent. It was an excellent professor. This guy clearly prepared. He was very, very, very good at what he did. Our retirement guy was clearly prepared, but the other four classes stunk.
Wow.
And, walking in, I was just, and again, I was very cavalier. I very nonchalant about, oh, I'll be fine. This is not the biggest deal in the world. And then I went to that prep class and it scared the hell out of me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. I think had I walked out of that exam and failed, which, I did on level 3 of CFA, I knew why I failed. I don't know if you kind of had that feeling like that in your gut feeling like I fucked up this prep.
Yeah.
It's on me. And I don't know if you felt that way, but I know for a sec that I did. And I knew how much, and it wasn't for the sake of hours. It was I took too many shortcuts.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're absolutely correct. This is where I would tell all my retakers is, listen, you failed the test, it's not the end of the world. All right. But first thing I want you to be doing is reevaluate your strategy. Don't go back and start doing the same thing over and over again that made you fail the test. Like, please don't do that. Right? Reevaluate. And you know what's the best way to reevaluate? Don't start studying for the CFP exam again for the next cycle. It's okay. Maybe take a break. I took a break. And you know what? I'll tell you this. When I started studying in August 2015, man, I knew it. I'm passing this test. I got out of the car. It was in so the second time I took the test. I'm in Sarasota, Florida. Right, the top floor is the Prometric Center. I'm looking at the ocean, and I go in. I'm like, I'm about to make this test my bitch. And you know what? I came out. I knew I was going to pass this test because the
Right.
headspace was better. The study strategy was better. I learned from my mistakes. So please, please, please make sure you learn from your mistakes and reevaluate your strategy. And as we always say, ask for help.
Right. I want to dig into that a little bit. When you were reevaluated your strategy, like I know what for CFA, I I didn't do anything for like a month to 6 weeks after. When you reevaluated your strategy, is that I need to do more questions? Is it I need to study more? Is it like what did you reevaluate and what did you do different between the first and the second time?
Yeah. No, great question. So once again, everyone's situation is different, but I'll speak about my specific situation where, as I mentioned, I just went through exam questions in the initial time. Like, I skipped a lot of the prep material. I remember like some of the Zod material. I skipped the material. I didn't even read, but I answered questions.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'll just answer questions. I'll learn it back. I'll backtrack it, right? Like I'll
Right.
know the material through the questions, right? The second time I took the test, so I took the test in March, and I took a break and then I moved to Florida in August. So 3 months, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna even worry about this test. And from there on, I started learning the material. I actually, because I had already taken Zahn before, so I refreshed Zahn. I knew that I didn't study. So I went back in, I recreated notes, I created note cards. I had so many. I think, Joe, realistically speaking, I had maybe closer to, if they were handwritten notes, I'd say closer to about 500 pages worth of my own notes plus note cards. I literally, I don't want to say I rewrote the entire book. I did not, but I wrote stuff down to understand the material. Then I applied that material into answering the questions. And
Hmm.
as I tell my students now, when you look at a question, you should know everything that's written inside the question, not just the right answer. You should know why the wrong answer is wrong based
Hmm.
on what the question is saying. And
Yeah.
that's the strategy that I applied second time around.
Well, it sounds like you were a lot more serious the second time around.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
think and I think that is one of the big things is that you build a sense of urgency from day one as opposed to a sense of urgency in the last month.
Yep.
And I think that is a big thing. And I did the same thing where I started where my reading and I had gotten through all the review books and the material like 6 weeks in advance. I had 6 weeks of review time. And my notes were the centerpiece of everything that I was doing because when I was looking at questions, I would go back to my notes. Ah, that's what it is. Okay, got it. And it would every time I would look at it, it would stick a little more and stick a little more. And eventually you don't even need your notes because they become secondhand nature. But I was very, very diligent and I had a process. And everybody, you're going to find something that works for you, but you need to start somewhere with a process that you're going to follow. So I think that the sense of urgency, definitely number one. Two, if the process is so painstaking, you've done something wrong. It shouldn't be to the point of difficult. It needs to be disciplined, and that stinks. Meaning, you got to study a lot of times that you don't want to go and study. You'd rather go out. You'd rather watch TV. I'd rather scroll on my phone. I'd rather go work out. I'd rather do anything than be studying at this moment. And I think that's the hardest part. But I also think you can help yourself by not kind of backing yourself into corners where you're forcing yourself to study for 6 hours. Like if I have to study on 6 hours on a Saturday because I didn't study on Monday, Tuesday, it's so overwhelming that I don't even want to do it at all. And then I dig myself into a deeper hole and a deeper hole and a deeper hole. And I think you got to get in the process of what is consistent and what is doable and then plan accordingly. So if your study plan is 90 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, you're going to have to go longer than somebody who's studying 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yep.
And so you have to plan accordingly because if you're leaving this to chance and just going, I'll figure it out as it gets closer, I'm really good under pressure. If you're digging yourself into a hole, it's almost an impossibility.
Hmm.
And
Agreed.
so, what Raman was just saying is like you're gonna walk out of that exam and you gotta let the dust settle because you're too raw emotionally in the week, the 2 weeks after you've let that dust settle. Now you're ready to start reevaluating. And I think that's the point where you go, okay, I could have done this better, could have done this better, and so on.
Yeah. People get too emotional about it when they fail the test. Like, be practical. Be practical. As I had one student pass his test, and I remember, like, we started studying, and I told him to delay his test, and I was like, "You are a machine. You have no emotions. You want to have emotions? Take the first 10 minutes of your day, have your emotions. After that, you're a robot,
Yeah.
and all you're gonna do is you're gonna study. That's it." And he took that approach the whole time, and passed it his second time.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, those days that you really don't want to study, like, when and I can most recently I've been building a lot of CFP questions for our classes. And when you're writing questions, you got to, I set up a schedule for myself where every day after work I sit down a couple hours and it's painstaking. On a Saturday afternoon, I don't want to write questions. I want to go out, I want to have a couple drinks with my friends. I want to watch the Knicks. I want to do anything other than write CFP questions. That discipline of doing it day in and day out made me a better test writer as well and made me a better teacher because it dug me in over and over and over again. And I think no matter how hard you try to avoid this, you have to look at CFP material over and over and over and over again because every time you look at it, you're going to get more out of it. And if you only go over it once or twice, you're not going to even have the tools or the depth of knowledge to answer a question.
I
So,
agree. I think that's a great point, Joe. That's an absolute fantastic point.
so as I think that's a good place to stop. I was gonna make one more point, but that's good for today.
Yeah, yeah. We have plenty of other
We
episodes to
got
talk
plenty of episodes. With that being said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you guys on our next episode. Take care.